Give me the decision-making process in Cleveland for why Joe Flacco was out of a job yet again after leading the Browns to the playoffs, this Cinderella remarkable run. The Browns offense suddenly looked good. And then once again, they doubled down to Deshaun Watson. He ends up in Indianapolis and had a really good day on Sunday. So why didn't the Browns hold on to Flacco?
I know when you had Joe Flacco in there, it appeared that Kevin Stefanski's offense was so easy to run. And he was orchestrating something every single week that looked remarkable, and they were able to overcome so many obstacles. And you just see them this year struggling. They can't find it. So, when you go back to the offseason and Joe Flacco's side, approach the Cleveland Browns along with the Miami Dolphins and some other teams around the league, to try to see, hey, like, this is obvious, right? Especially Cleveland. This is obvious. We're going to do this again. We had success. They were pretty stunned that Cleveland said no. And when I dug on it a little bit, and then also even just having conversations around the league with people that are looking at the situation, a lot of people agree with what Cleveland did, which I think is really interesting. And that is put all their assets and focus on Deshaun and make sure there are no obstacles in his way. There's no mental hurdles of the crowd chanting for the backup quarterback who gave some success to them last year, perhaps not bringing someone that could possibly outshine them. Because look, there is a big business element here. They're paying him everything. So they've got to give him a path to at least try to have success this season. And I think that was the thought. And now fans are going, well, what about that thought of winning? Right? Because this isn't the answer. And obviously not even having Joe Flacco is not having any influence on Deshaun. He's been given some really good opportunity here to take that step. And he's just not. I think we saw a little bit in the Raiders game. That was his best game as a Brown this season. Granted, they didn't win. And I actually thought that they were going to build on it this week. Despite the fact that the Commanders are red hot and everything that they're doing is just electric at this point, I thought maybe we'd see these glimpses again of that Houston Deshaun Watson. And I feel like we say that every game. And I don't know. I think sometimes we may have to, or not sometimes, we may just all have to go, the magic may be gone.
It makes completely logical, pragmatic sense for what the Browns did. They've paid $200+ million to Deshaun Watson. As you said, he's your guy. You can't not make him the guy. Nobody's going to trade for that contract. You can't deal him. Your future isn't 40-some-odd-year-old Joe Flacco. And yet, there is no doubt when you see Flacco out there throwing dimes today, it feels like, did we make a bad choice? Do you think there's any regret that the Browns let Flacco walk and have hitched their entire wagon to Deshaun?
I don't know if there's going to be regret. I think ownership assigned Kevin Stefanski and his general manager, Andrew Berry, to make this work. And they discussed it, and they obviously were all on board with doing this. So for them to all be in on this, I don't think they could sit there now and go, oh, maybe we should have done this. Because either way, at the end of the day, I think they were told that they need to make this work. And ownership wanted this to work. So the efforts are being put forth, but I just don't think that enough is being done. And look, it's not all on Deshaun. And that's something that I've had some conversations with people in Cleveland about the problems, trying to sort through it. It's not. It's a lot of the different units that really aren't stepping up. Obviously, we've seen the offensive line have tons of issues, much different than what we saw last year when Flacco was under center. It just, remember too, they lost Bill Callahan, right? He was the offensive line coach. He's now in Tennessee with his son. And I mean, they have their own issues too at offensive line, but Coach Callahan is revered around the league. And I do think that they had a nice setup in Cleveland with him running the show. So they've gone through some coaching transition there. The defense with Jim Schwartz leading the way, they were spectacular last year. They were ranked in the top 10. Now they're swimming around the 20s. So I think it's Deshaun, yes, but it's everything in Cleveland right now. And I'm sure while ownership is disappointed, I think there's a lot of blame to go around.